Hello, everyone. I'm Colin Tessier of WrestleZone.com, joined by Robert DeFelice to talk about Friday Night SmackDown. Robert, I sound down because the news just came out that the beloved Big E has been told he has a broken neck after a horrifying bump on SmackDown. So a bit of a somber mood tonight, but we'll get into all
I
that. How are
mean,
you
thank
doing?
God he's strong. He says his strength feels good and he's able to move because that bump was one of the nastiest things I've seen. And we're like 3 weeks out from the Rich Holland bump. I mean, not
Yeah.
Rich Holland, the Madcap Moss bump.
Yeah, that's like right off the bat. Just like I was updating my article about it, like right before I'm on the air. I was like, oh, obviously, needless to say, but I'll still say it. Best wishes to Biggie. Very
Yeah.
hopeful that he has a speedy recovery. The fact that he, like, as you said, that he was moving and showing his strength. That's a very, very positive sign. But for a guy like Biggie, absolutely, from every way that every interview, everything you hear about him seems like an absolutely wonderful guy. Absolutely horrible. Not just saying get well soon, Biggie. Like definitely not a happy outcome. Obviously on SmackDown.
Well,
It's
I mean,
just
honest to God, when you look at the way the bump landed, I guess it is a happy outcome that he's okay and he can move because that was a nasty, nasty, nasty bump. And I
yeah,
know that when he had some issues in college when he had his knee injuries. I hope mentally he's able to stay strong as well. And we're thinking about Big E because that was a nasty, nasty bump.
yeah. Obviously, I'm not a doctor, but broken neck would seem to suggest that he'll be out for a while. So
He's out for a bit, like
yeah,
Kofi's riding solo, isn't he? Into this year's WrestleMania. Woods is still out with his torn plantaris.
right.
He's got a
Supposedly,
broken neck. Jesus, what a horrible way to start the show.
yeah. I couldn't help it. Just like literally, that just came out moments before we went on the air. So wanted to get that out of the way. Obviously, don't want to speculate, but again, just based on just general assumption, like again, it's a serious injury, so he'll probably be out for a while. Now it's just saying, hey, silver lining, Kofi riding solo could always roll back the Kofi Mania train and try and get something going there. Hey, I would like to see that, but obviously I think he deserves it. Company man, there's a story you can tell there. Depending on what happens at WrestleMania. Hey, if you want to get crazy, have him get his win back from Brock Lesnar, and the way that he absolutely just ruined Kofi
That's
Mania
right.
itself. Um, yeah, but Ricky pointed out, we were just talking about Big E breaking his neck. Definitely a very unfortunate incident here on SmackDown. I don't know if we referenced the specific way that it happened. He took a belly-to-belly suplex, landed right on his head during a tag team match against Sheamus and Rich Holland. DJ's asking if the announcers said anything about it. No, I think Michael Cole pointed out that he was getting tended to by emergency personnel. That's when I knew something was had to be somewhat wrong. I honestly didn't see the suplex in the moment, and then I went back and saw it afterwards. I was worried he got hurt. Before that, he took a bad spill, like landing out of the ring, and he landed kind of right on his hip, essentially. But obviously, was a much different situation than landing right on his head. So, no word on how long he'll be out. Steven's asking about Xavier. Xavier still has that torn plantaris, and I thought like he'd be good to go by now.
He's got some pep in his step. He's on G4. He's focusing on that stuff right now. Maybe he'll be 100% by the time he's accepting his Nickelodeon Kids Choice Awards in a couple weeks. Jeez, poor New Day. New Day's had a rough go of it this year.
Yeah,
Uh,
And I tweeted like before Biggie got hurt, he fell out of the ring, and I was like, oh, like rough fall for Biggie, and I'm referring to the fall, not the way he's been booked since he lost the title, but altogether, very much rough go of it here for Biggie, unfortunately, from losing the title in crappy circumstances, frankly, to now this injury right before WrestleMania, and obviously, yeah, that would mean Ricky pointing out that he will most
he'll
assuredly.
be only be out for WrestleMania 39.
Yeah, there's really
Honestly,
no way
like
to know right now. If it's a broken neck, that is very serious. So, again, a somber note, but from a note of optimism from DJ. If something like Madcap Moss landed around his head, granted he made it out, unscathed, and unfortunately, it seems like Big E definitely is going to be on the road to recovery here, but very much hopeful that he'll recover. But yeah, Biggie himself, it was good. It was good that Biggie right away took to Twitter, shared that video. He was moving as best he could, at least, kind of showing that he's okay, all things considered. So that came out right at the tail end of SmackDown. So again, that's why we're leading off of that very depressing note. But I mean, ironically, the Biggie match there was noteworthy because even before that happened, the internet was swirling with chatter because in the backstage promo for the match, Sheamus and Ridge Holland were standing backstage giving an interview. They had sledgehammers in hand, oddly enough, and they were talking about how they smashed Kofi and Biggie's ATV. I think they smashed it last week.
Yeah.
And then they said, they're going to destroy more tonight. And then Sheamus said, "Oh, I brought along a new friend, someone who's more dangerous than two sledgehammers combined. We go way back. His name is Butch." And the camera pans and reveals former NXT UK champion Pete Dunne.
Now, did Sheamus say this or did Ridge Holland say this?
I'm 90% sure Ridge Holland. Sorry. Sheamus said it.
That's ridiculous. Oh, I know this guy. We go way back. I've never interacted with him. On the flip side, Ridge Holland and Pete Dunne were literally paired at the start of NXT 2.0. What are we doing? And why is he Butch? You want to know why he's Butch? Because Fightful Select, Sean Ross Sapp shared some information about why he is Butch. And Sean Ross Sapp, and I quote, said, "Fightful was told throughout the day that something very dumb was happening on tonight's episode of SmackDown, with numerous people chiming in that they knew it would be a name change for a star that many already knew. There were wrestlers outside the company who knew of the name change as far back as yesterday and were speculating that it could be a bushwhacker's rib because Luke is Ridge Holland's real name. Another former WWE name believes that it's based on Butch from the Little Rascals in the 1950s. Let's be clear, the 1950s version." Now, Colin, what year were you born, pal?
1997, my friend.
1997. I was born in 93. What is this? What are we doing here?
Oh man, I was upset about that, and then the Biggie thing happened. I'm like, I don't even have the energy to get all that upset about it, but it's really bad, man. I'm more of the mindset. It's so bad that it's funny. It's like naming someone that for reportedly that reason, and obviously Sean must have a very reputable source there. So, and based on what we've seen from Vince McMahon's, for years now, that would track, right? That would be either a rib or something as dated as the Little Rascals 1950s version. Oh, Pete Dunne, man. Pete Dunne, a guy so talented in the ring. You, on paper, in my mind at least, can plug and play and put him on the roster. You don't need to do anything with
What
him.
happened to Triple H's NXT?
It's tragic, man.
What happened? We're like, at this point, it's almost comical because this doesn't even resemble the company that had Joe as champion and Ciampa, O'Reilly, Dunn, and LA Knight fighting in September.
A lot has changed. In a very short amount of time. It's March now. That's not, that's like, 6 months, but it's only 6 months. And they've completely dismantled it. They've completely tore it down.
William Regal's over there on TNT or TBS having the time of his life with Bryan Danielson and Jon Moxley. It just doesn't feel real.
No. DJ's saying that Pete Dunne is now well done. I mean, with a name like Butch,
that's good. Congratulations, DJ. That's very good.
A hard time getting over with that. That's just that's rough. Yeah, and that's just saying Triple H gone at least in terms of he's been away recovering from his cardiac event there in September, and they really just tore everything down. The NXT stars have left. They've gone a different way. I talk about that all the time on the NXT show, so I won't get too deep into that right here. But yeah, this is just the latest many examples. The name itself, Steven saying who's naming all these wrestlers, naming Pete Dunne, Butch, unreal. Obviously, the previous incident, Gunther with the Walter incident, obviously another very bad one. Man. Just
And this is coming from the guy who was like, I like branding. It's stupendous. People need to look that up, They wonder what's stupendous. I'd say it was not stupendous. This name. It's awful.
it's awful. Eddie's saying, nobody will care about the name in a couple months. We're talking about it now, but people will forget and accept it. I mean, I've accepted Gunther, but I still don't like it. I still think it's stupid, and it's still Walter to me.
We will accept. Well, let's be clear though. This isn't like Cesaro dropping the Antonio. This isn't even like a man named Walter is now man named Gunther. This is Pete Dunne, man with two names, is now Butch. That's it. He's Butch.
He was just Butch.
he changes cars for free depending on the client. What is this? What are we doing? It's such a weird time in WWE, and we're gonna look back, and this era is going to be talked about for years and years and years to come. And I don't know what to do here because Pete Dunne is Butch, and it's like NXT UK is off in its little corner in the UK. And I'm wondering when that's just going to have the rug pulled out from under it because Pete Dunne is Butch. What are you going to do? And Doudrop is Doudrop. This is more akin to Piper Niven becomes Doudrop. This is Pete Dunne is Butch. Pete
Dunne was a fine name. It was a fine name. I didn't see anything to change it. Also, just the creative itself, I guess, for lack of a better word. He comes out and he's wearing the little funny little hat, just like Sheamus and Ridge Holland. He's wearing suspenders, so that's their thing. And the problem with that is that Sheamus and Ridge Holland are both very big guys, and Pete's putting on a lot of muscle, but he looks like the scrawny little brother trying to keep up.
See, I like the look. I'm not against the look or the pairing. It's just
I like the pairing.
You can't just call him Butch. He didn't exist before. You didn't change Ridge Holland. He's Ridge Holland.
And
Sheamus and Butch.
The part that bothers me is now on Raw and NXT, we're seeing this overlap where they actually are acknowledging things that are happening on NXT. So they're acknowledging that it's a shared.
Hey, remember when Von Wagner was on SmackDown?
I am very, very glad that was a brief thing. Jason pointing out, yes, Cal Bloom, son of Wayne Bloom. That's fine. Wagner, he's on NXT still. Not one of the guys that I myself have on the short list for people that are probably moving up soon, but it's just weird because now, you mentioned they're pretending that Pete Dunne as a person didn't exist on NXT. Now he's just being brought up as Butch, whereas on Raw,
he's Sheamus' friend from way, way back. He's Butch.
And like you said, it would have made a lot more sense. Hey, at least him and Holland actually know each other. There's something there. But I'm fairly confident that was Sheamus, and it doesn't make sense. But I think part of that, you mentioned that report from Summer Sapp. Dude's asking if this is an official call up. Supposedly, this is his official call up, right? That he's going to be kind of part of SmackDown now.
I would assume as much. Or Butch is on SmackDown. Maybe Pete Dunne's still on NXT. We don't know. We don't know how these rules work anymore.
No. Yeah.
And it could have been Pete, Butch, and Ridge, Butch, and Sheamus against New Day, which would have been fun. I would never argue about that match. Would have been fun. But that doesn't look like it's possible with Big E breaking his neck. What do you think we do now?
I was just going to say, now it's weird because, that was as soon as Beat came out, and that made sense if Xavier was good to go. And now with Big E's out of the equation, so it's now you've got three, Butch, Holland, and Sheamus, and if Xavier is good to go, that's two, and there's no one I can really see getting kind of you're not going to replace Big E, so would it be a 2-on-2, and one guy's just the manager? I don't know. And that's point out they could do both. They could just leave him as Pete Dunne on NXT and do Butch on SmackDown. They've done crazier things. I wouldn't want to see that myself. If you're gonna do that, just at the very least, just be consistent. If he's Butch, and that's it.
At this point, why not? Hey, he's Pete Dunne on NXT. It's a completely different continuity. They don't even touch.
Yeah.
Except for when they touch on Monday and Tuesday. Shut up. Okay, look, they don't touch.
The weird thing is you know that John and I were talking on the NXT show that like right now is such a weird time to bring anybody new up. WrestleMania is 22 days away from today as we're recording this, and even like 2 weeks ago we were saying, okay, it wouldn't make a whole lot of sense to bring anybody up right now because to try and kind of establish them, supposedly get them ready for a match at WrestleMania, for at least from the NXT side of things. That's weird because your focus should be on like building the matches with people you already have, and then putting someone new in there is tricky. And now this, like it would seem to suggest that he might be at least involved with WrestleMania somehow. It's just interesting timing is all. I'd assumed any call up like this would be like a night after Mania or for SmackDown, the SmackDown after WrestleMania kind of thing. But here we are. Granted, I mean he beat Kofi up after the match, so it's not like he was totally framed like a jabroni. Like he's
No. New debuting star Butch is not a jabroni. He's Butch.
That's right. No. Well, you know who's not a jabroni? You can never ever call him a jabroni. Brock Lesnar. Brock Lesnar opened the show. He was a little salty, a little mad because Roman Reigns beat him up last weekend. He hasn't gotten to talk about it yet on SmackDown. I was upset because this, of course, was the Madison Square Garden show that was filmed but not televised, oddly enough. And I think we've seen the video package of the Bloodline beating up Brock, I think at least 5 times by the time Brock came out to the ring tonight. I think we saw it like 3 times on Raw. It opened up SmackDown. Brock was upset. And, you know, Robert, they're billing this as the biggest WrestleMania match of all time. So
biggest WrestleMania match in history. It's the biggest one.
So I imagine the goal is like, hey, Brock, go out there, hype up this WrestleMania match and the importance. You're unifying the titles. It's a very special match. Brock says, oh, Roman, you changed the game. I don't care about titles anymore. I want your blood. And I thought, like, nice. we're having this big match.
Well, you know what though? I like the idea of I want your blood. I can get behind that. You know? I can get behind, hey, I want to just kick your ass. But if you were going to do that, you didn't need to, you know, hold up the 2 titles.
Yeah.
Whatever. It's all good.
Struck me as a little funny. Brock was mad, wanted Roman to come out. Roman, not in attendance tonight. No Roman Reigns tonight. One of those SmackDowns, unfortunately.
I'm guessing that's why we had him beat up Brock at Madison Square Garden.
I guess. Or they just wanted some outcome, something to come of it so they could film it and use it. I don't know. But Paul Heyman comes out and he says Roman isn't there. Brock is basically tells him to shut up. Called him fat at one point. A little mean, but and then he said, "Well, if Roman's not here to protect you, no one's here to protect you." So then he chased Heyman to the back, and they're just running to the backstage. Heyman escapes, and then Brock got mad, and then he left too. So we do know they're going to quote unquote collide next week because they will both be in attendance. That is the only thing they announced for SmackDown to look forward to for next week. At that point, WrestleMania will be 2 weeks away. So they're running out of time. I was a little surprised that Roman wasn't here tonight because, I mean, it's a bit of a toss-up. You have to keep telling the same story, or you have something like this where one of the guys isn't there. So I don't know. I feel like we haven't made a lot of progress really in this story they're telling. Roman and Paul have been pissing Brock off, and that's just it's been kind of that on a loop at some point. But
that's it. That's your story, pal. Where Brock is mad, Roman is bad, and Heyman is sad. You know, and this is where we're at.
Well said. But I don't know. The way this is going, I don't have any updated prediction for who will win.
It's still my favorite story this year. What does that say about the rest of the product?
Yeah.
It's still my favorite story. They're still telling the best story in all of WWE.
It's a low bar, but I would agree. I've been enjoying it. Obviously, I've made it pretty clear I'm a big fan of Roman. I've been enjoying the babyface Brock run. I'm just curious how it all unfolds. And again, we've talked about it before. The championship unification. Now, with a prediction here saying that Heyman will help Brock get the wins. Another swerve here. I think I've seen that theory kind of going around a little bit. I don't know. I mean, we talked about it before. I think if anybody's going to beat Brock right now, beat Roman right now, it'll probably be Brock because I don't see anyone else doing it at this stage. It's still a little
The
early to say.
concern becomes like, does Rock just like I see Roman winning, and then I see Rock attacking Roman at the end of the show. But then you do what do you do? A year of like no other challenger matters. It's
Yeah.
scary.
Yeah. I remember I was a kid. I loved the year-long Rock and Cena build, but now I've matured, and I'm like, that would not be very good because, like, you would know essentially for a year that Roman is not going to lose, and that's not very interesting. Especially this is a unification match, so again, even if it's a thing where they do the Becky Lynch defending both belts at the same time, that's not the best. I don't know. And I mean, I still don't fully trust that they're going to be able to pull that off. Like, The Rock is a very, very busy man. Like, he is always filming stuff. And he's got the XFL. He's doing all these things. I don't know if it's not up to me, obviously, but like it's a risky thing to kind of bank on that being in the cards when it might not be.
I agree. I agree, and it's all just concerning.
Yeah, and then at least for the path forward here, Eddie's saying Roman should win both titles. He's a full-time star, and WWE usually wants like dominant champions. Well, the only problem is like he beats Brock Lesnar, and let's say there's no Rock match. Let's just kind of venture out there because again, that's not a guarantee. I have no idea who could possibly beat Roman other than Brock Lesnar right now, or at the very least, you would have to take a while to build anybody up. I don't see anybody on the SmackDown side. Even in a potential draft, trade, shakeup, whatever, even on the Raw side, nobody really, nobody seems like a fitting successor to Roman Reigns at this point. That's more of a sign of just like nobody's at that level, which is a credit to Roman Reigns and the way he's been booked since he came back in 2020. But also that's a negative on the lack of overall depth. So they're in a bit of a pickle.
They are.
But
and speaking of a bit of a pickle, let's talk about the wonderful world of tag team wrestling on Friday Night SmackDown. That's not really a pickle. That's just sort of like it's just stale food sitting in your pantry. Like it's just it was a cucumber. It has long since pickled, and it would just here now.
It's WWE in a nutshell these days, Robert. WWE in a nutshell. It was once a pickle. It was once a cucumber, a lovely cucumber, and now it's a pickle. Well, yes, we do know the tag team division. I don't know if it's alive and well. The champions are good. They're the Usos. They've been the champions for, I think, almost a year now. A little bit, getting up there. I think they won them last summer. They have had a pretty good reign, and they came out tonight and said, "Oh, there's nobody left that could possibly challenge us. Nobody's worthy of facing us at WrestleMania." And that is when Rick Boogs and Shinsuke Nakamura came out, and I was just like, "These guys are winning WrestleMania, aren't they?" I was just like, "Man,
look, it's weird because I do want to say something great about this year's WrestleMania build is they have put such an emphasis on you gotta be a champion, because if you're not a champion, you're not on WrestleMania. And I'd buy that so much more if we didn't have countless examples of year after year after year after year after year of the IC champions not on Mania, the tag champions aren't on Mania, But I do like the story of, hey, you gotta be up here with the belts because that's what matters in WWE. Maybe this is the start of better storytelling towards that. I can dream. It probably isn't, I can dream though. Boogs and Nakamura, you literally have the Viking Raiders. You literally have Los Lotharios. You literally have MSK's not doing much on NXT right now. Well, what are you going to do?
I mean, yeah, kind of in a different way. I would say a more clear lack of depth here on the SmackDown side. You've got the Viking Raiders. Of course, you got the Lethal Lovers. They're still around. unfortunately, again, with the big injury, I think that's another knock or another loss for the tag division. So hopefully once Woods comes back, maybe he and Kofi will team together. But no, I mean, not to contradict myself, but ironically, like who? I mean, the Viking Raiders just got a shot. Other than them, unless you want to do like a multi-team match, which this very well could be, I don't really see anybody. So I mean, kind of likewise here, Steven says he didn't see anybody being the Usos. So the bloodline probably going to still be pretty dominant here. And Steven, I've long thought this. Robert, you and I have talked about this for a long while now. Let's unify the belts. Like they do not.
I mean, listen, I've learned my lesson though, because I was the lone member of wrestling media who was like, they're gonna unify the world titles, yay! And everybody was like, this is the worst thing that could possibly happen. I don't know what you're excited about, but it's because you don't have enough depth for two divisions in any case. For the men singles, for the women, if you merge the shows, it's not because I'm like, oh man, we need less wrestlers on TV. No, I just want things to mean more. And I think they'll mean more if there's less participation trophies around.
Yeah, and by having like let's say if they unify the tag titles, whatever it might be, yeah, that makes, if it's the tag titles, if they unify the world titles, in theory, that makes them more meaningful, because if you're a tag team, you're fighting for the one title. If you're a world champion on SmackDown or whatever, or I mean, in theory, if it's one unified world title, that's the one title. So no, I definitely agree with that. And in a lot of ways, they don't have the depth that they once, I'll just say that they once did. There was a time the roster was a lot bigger. In theory, you had more people to kind of
Austin Theory's on the roster, but he's not that big of a
guy. Right. But they had people, hypothetically, if you will, that could kind of fill in that depth. Whereas you could throw together a tag team, you could throw together a contender for a title to kind of make up for that. Now, again, kind of a result of some of the releases and everything, it's just kind of a natural consequence. Less depth, less roster depth, less depth of challengers here. And again, when we're getting the build for this three-way tag match on Raw last week, Seth Rollins and Kevin Owens had teased that they might unify the tag titles. They might challenge for the titles over on SmackDown if they won the Raw ones. So that was at least kind of a little tease. They didn't win, and now with this match, made it very clear. It will be Boogs and Nakamura.
Yeah, it'll be two separate tag team titles going forward. But you bring that up, and I'll be honest with you, I don't have too much more to say about this episode of Friday Night SmackDown because nothing happens on this show. But who do you think's fighting Rollins at Mania? Like, you don't leave Rollins off of Mania.
No.
Who's fighting Rollins at Mania?
Well, they're doing the KO show thing, which
should be a match. Which, by the way, if Stone Cold Steve Austin says, "I will have a match with you, Kevin Owens. You can call it a match. I'm gonna whoop your ass." Why wouldn't you why wouldn't you advertise Stone Cold Steve Austin's last match ever, one time only, first time in 20 years, last time? Come on. But like, what is Rollins doing?
I had thought, they could do Rollins and Kevin Owens in a match. We've disagreed on that, but like at this stage, especially, if not Kevin Owens, obviously the leading theory is pointing out we might see Cody Rhodes in Jacksonville,
maybe.
And if we do, that would be the most obvious option for both guys at this point. Because of Nesh's point, again, Owens would make sense, but Owens is going to be doing his thing with Steve Austin. So if Cody would probably be it, but like if not him,
I would get tickled at a storyline where Becky Lynch is panicking about Bianca Belair and Rollins has this baby in his arms and he's like, yeah. What am I don't have anything to do at WrestleMania. What am I going to do? But if I come out with it, just like, I'm going to pester Becky Lynch because I got nothing going on, I would find that funny, but I don't have any faith in them to do anything fun with that. It should be Cody, because at this point, if it's not Cody, you're looking at a Seth Rollins list WrestleMania, and if he's healthy, there's no reason under the sun for that to be.
I have to imagine they'd find something for him, even if it's not the Cody Rhodes match. I mean, you've got, I just saying there's a report that'd be 16 matches total, 8 for each night, which is a lot. Somewhere.
Dude, they don't have the depth for that. That's another thing. Like, it's 2 nights. Why is it 2 nights? Because what? Because 35 ended past midnight, and people had this moment where they were like, "Oh my god, this is too much." Yeah, okay, cut the show down. You don't add more when you like. You don't. You don't do that. You don't say, I only have 2 people in my house. I'm gonna cook for 8. Like, what are you doing?
I remember I covered the WrestleMania. That was one of my first shows here at WrestleZone, and I covered the whole thing. I just like worked through it all. I remember ending. I think it was closer to 1. It was. I think the kickoff started.
Oh no, the main event started at like 12:05 or whatever.
Yeah.
Like,
and the kickoff was I think at 7, maybe.
Kickoff
maybe
started at
6.
like 5, maybe 5.
Yeah.
They had like a 7-8 hour show.
That was
crazy.
Like,
you don't need this.
No. So, and for that reason, I'm like, I'm all right with the 2 nights, but at the same time, there are logistical things and in some ways too many matches in total. Like we were just talking about earlier, you have all these matches in a way that lessens the significance of having a match, on the WrestleMania card for one of the wrestlers in theory. But yeah, I don't know. It's, to me, I was thinking about this earlier today. It's like, if it is Cody, but let's just get hypothetical. If it's Cody Rhodes, I don't know if I see them actually telling that story of like, hey, this guy left and built this other company that's doing a lot of cool stuff. And
right, what is like, it would be fun, and they don't have the balls to do this. But if Rollins just goes to Jacksonville, like if he's in Jacksonville and he's like, I ain't got shit going on at WrestleMania, I'm gonna go hit up Daly's place because maybe they'll have something for me. And then it's Cody Rhodes comes out and he goes, as it turns out, I've got something for you.
Sold. See, that'd be great. But I don't think they're going to do that. I don't know if I am honestly skeptical they're going to even reference that history. That not even history. That's reality, right? That's happened. In the last
yeah, I mean,
years.
like that's as real as it gets.
So I don't know if it's not Cody. Again, I have to think he'll be on the card somehow. Maybe not in a meaningful match or a long built match. Even though if it's the Cody one, that wouldn't be a whole lot of time either. But yeah, it's just weird all around. That's like, again, and if he is left off the card, it's weird because then you've got a match with Austin Theory and Pat McAfee. You've got Johnny Knoxville on the card. You've got Logan Paul on. We talked about this last week, but it's just weird. It's just weird. And again, part of that is we were talking about before we went on the air. WrestleMania 22 days away. Might as well feel like it's like several months away.
I told you, like, when you said that sounded far too close to be what it is right now.
We already know a pretty solid chunk of the card, at least some. Obviously, not all reported 16 matches, but a lot of the big ones, the title matches: Brock, Roman, Charlotte, Ronda. A bunch of the tag match got set tonight. A bunch of others, Becky and Bianca. A bunch of like on paper matches that seem good, but I'm not really excited for any of them. Other than a kind of curiosity, if anything, about the Brock Roman one. But in terms of like actual, I'm excited.
I think WrestleMania is an awesome show to sit down and watch for 5 hours if you've got nothing else going on. When it's like in our case where we've got to really be invested, it gets harder because now it's like, well, I'm not.
Yeah. And for us,
they'll
like,
deliver.
We come, well, I don't know. I mean, that's just saying it's going to be, the show's going to be a disappointment this year. I mean, again, we always say the matches are going to be good. It's going to look pretty. It's going to be a great big spectacle. It's going to be stupendous, Robert. It's going to be
I love that word.
I hate that word so much. There's going to be fireworks. There's going to be way too many video packages. There's going to be Who even knows what? They'll probably get some music alerts. And for all we know, MGK is going to perform to hype up 2K22. Who even knows at this point?
You fell in love with an emo girl, did you not? Listen, I have thoughts on MGK, but that's a different podcast. Like, it's all right. I mean, Taker's in the Hall of Fame. That could be an hour of Mania.
And Vader.
Vader. Okay, real quick. I won't belabor this point because I am happy for him. This is an egregious oversight. He should have been inducted while he was alive. There's no reason they didn't do that. It's not like Savage. It's not like Rick Rude. It's not like Mr. Perfect, where, those were extenuating circumstances. Vader could have easily been there. He could have been inducted while he was alive. It's a shame that they didn't. I'm also hearing the rumor of Psycho Sid.
Yeah.
Long overdue. He should get in. This is a big, meaty Hall of Fame class. Like, these lots of meat in this one. I mean, my God. I'm down for it. They're like, that's cool. That's fun. Vince is going to talk about Taker. He'll get wutted the entire time. It'll be great.
Yeah, and Vince McMahon's inducting him. That's fair. That's noteworthy. Obviously, Vince does not do that, so that's a thing. Not just pointing out that they haven't promoted the Hall of Fame.
Well, I mean, they don't need to. They promote the Undertaker. That's all you need.
They showed
realistically. If they said, we'll hold off on Vader, this year's just Undertaker goes in and it's a 2-hour special dedicated to the Undertaker, who's gonna, say no?
I mean, I was fine with that, and then now it's weird because they're doing it right after the SmackDown. I think right before WrestleMania. I think. So again, I was one of the few people. Not few. There were some people that seemed pretty happy if it was just Undertaker. I'm fine with that because he is such a legend. But it's also cool to recognize other people. Vader deserves it. Psycho Sid, whoever else. I would imagine we'll get a couple others over the next couple of weeks. But that's something to look forward to. I mean, because I think we both wrote about this today. Big fans asking if we confirm that fan access got canceled. Well, they're bringing WWE ringside to Dallas Fort Worth next week.
No. They're bringing. Hold on. They're bringing an experience that's like mini access to a Walmart.
That's fantastic.
And what are you doing? What are you doing? Hey, what are we doing? I have thoughts, but I guess they're just not doing access this year, which is a shame because it should always happen. Shad should get the Warrior Award this year. I understand why they didn't do it last year. They should do it this year. It should go to Shad.
Yeah, I'm very, very much for that. I hope he gets it. Very much well deserved. The late great Shad. I've heard also the Steiners might be in the Hall of Fame
Hell
this year.
Yeah! You know what? Hell yes. Talk about big, meaty men slapping meat. There's no bigger dudes on the tag team scene than the Steiners. I mean, the only other tag team I'd want to see inducted that isn't there yet is Midnight Express, and you ain't inducting Cornette. And which is a shame, honestly, because as a performer, he belongs in the Hall of Fame. But the Steiner brothers would be a tremendous Hall of Fame addition.
Yeah, I think they deserve it. I mean, so if those rumors shake out, if it's Sid and Steiners, I think that would kind of shake out. Maybe for like a external one, Great Muta, maybe. But
is Bam Bam in yet? It's a genuine question. If he's not,
if he is,
put Bam Bam in the Hall of Fame. Yeah, even though I think they only do one posthumous induction per year. Put Bam Bam in there. Big dude Hall of Fame. I'm all for it.
Go for it. But looking forward to that. At least it's formality, Rob. We got to rate the show tonight. What do you think about SmackDown? At least overall.
Well, I'll address this one comment from a DJ who says Demolition needs to be in the Hall of Fame. Look, Demolition should be in the Hall of Fame many, many moons ago. I do think that they need to be in there much more than a Road Warrior ripoff. But my rating, it's like a 5, bro. Like it's a boring show. It's a boring show. The two notes coming out of this show are an unfortunate injury to a great human being and Butch. No, I give it a 5.
I don't know if I go that low. Yeah, I mean, I can't like knock the show for the Biggie injury. Obviously, that's just very unfortunate. I can knock the show for the Butch thing. I can knock the show for not really helping me get more excited for WrestleMania. I don't really. I'm not interested in the Charlotte Ronda feud right now, and I haven't been. It's not really working for me. Steven says that was boring. I would agree. It was a 5.5.
They're trying too hard. This is very easy. It's the two most legitimate women on the roster. No offense to Becky or Bianca. Two most legitimate women on the roster, and they're having a wrestling match. That's it. Show training footage. I said this last year.
You said this last year, Robert.
I said this exact same thing last year because Sasha and Bianca are two great athletes who deserve the world, and they should have been given, a nice training montage. That's all you need. People just want to see women athletes be athletes and perform. That's all anybody wants to see.
Yeah, and obviously they're going in a much more convoluted way. They're talking about who's the Charlotte's title's prettier than Ronda's baby, and they're saying like, oh, I'll never tap out to you, but I tapped her out last week. Like it's just it's not great. All around.
By the way, the revisionist history of Charlotte Flair never taps out. Okay, we don't have footage of Sasha making her tap out. Of course we don't. You're right. Nobody's ever done this before. They're getting really weird with revisionist history, and I'm just sick of it.
I think, I'm my own observation that they're just so focused on churning out content. I think they're assuming they can drown us in said content with the video packages, with whatever whatever the hell else is that they're constantly making. That they're just like, oh, people are just going to forget about it. Honestly, you say that. I forgot about it. There's just like so much stuff to get like kind of like that we get bombarded with. That I imagine that might very well be part of the thinking there. It's like, oh, they've got all this stuff, all the shows every week, whatever the numbers up to now, the hours of content every week.
First run content, because content is what we live for now. We're not getting paid in dollars anymore. We're just getting paid in content. It's amazing.
But I do want to shout out, yes, there was a main event, Ricochet, Sami Zayn for the IC title. Johnny Knoxville today blew up Sami Zayn's phone, put the phone number on a banner in Los Angeles. People actually called it. Would assume that was not actually Sami Zayn's phone number, but
yeah, if Sami Zayn has a Florida number, I'm genuinely surprised.
So, a little interesting wrinkle there. Very good match. Very glad Ricochet is the IC champion. One good wrestlers are doing good things. Can't be that upset. So it was cool to see that in the main event. I was a little surprised. I was like, oh, they're going to do something. Like even Knoxville coming out. No, just a good wrestling match in the main event, which you don't really get these days for WWE. But that was kind of a fun surprise. Steven saying was glad Ricochet retains. That was good as well. So maybe I didn't actually rate the show. So I'll give it like a 5.8. Most of that being that match right there. So Steven saying 6.5. Pat McAfee, brawled with Austin Theory. You see he's rating that.
Are you the one that tweets out every week the brand split is dead?
Yeah,
because that pops me every time. Like the brand split's dead. Austin Theory's here. Yeah, because why are they doing this match? Like, why?
I don't know. In a way, it's better. Not saying it's so 7 night. In a way, it's better than putting Vince McMahon out there. Like because that didn't do anything for me either. At least Austin Theory's an actual member of the roster.
Well, he enjoys physical competition. Do you think Austin Theory works out at 1 a.m. until 3 a.m? Huh? You think Austin Theory is that much of a manly man?
Maybe not. But I've heard things. Maybe Vince McMahon will still be involved somehow. I've heard some speculation
of course he is.
There. But maybe we'll get in there. Maybe we handicap match. Who even knows? I'm sure. Yeah, that's probably a safe bet at this point. If where there's smoke, there's fire. I'm sure he'll somehow get involved. But Pat McAfee slapped around, punched on Austin Theory tonight, got a score to the back. The security team took McAfee right by Austin Theory, even though they're supposed to take him away from the attacker. It just made no sense at all.
Well, it's budget security. You see, they don't do their job right. They're just kind of looking for a quick buck.
Yeah, these are just a few reasons SmackDown was a little below par tonight. But lastly, here Eddie's saying 6.5 for the show. Ricochet, at least, or you say pitching for WrestleMania. Hey, give him a ladder match. That'd be fun. Although I will say I worry if they do the ladder match to stand a little bit for NXT. Especially if they do the IC title match like on Saturday, that'd be like 2 ladder matches in one day. Not that
That'd be
everyone would watch
hysterical
both.
if they just did that, just to undermine NXT a little bit more. I actually thought a similar thing for Ricochet, but then I thought, just put the belt on Sheamus. Don't overcomplicate things. Give Sheamus the Intercontinental title, because it's the one title he never held.
Yeah, but now Sheamus with the Butch. So
Well, I
I
mean, he
don't know.
can still have Butch. They can Butch and Sheamus and Ridge. They can all be together, and Sheamus can be IC champion. They could be tag champions. Who knows?
Yeah. I like that idea. Sheamus, he had an interview today that it'd be a quote unquote major mishap if he got left off the card for WrestleMania. And I would agree, he's one of their like most accomplished veterans, and he's been putting on great matches. So hopefully, kind of like Rollins, hopefully he'll get on the card somehow. Whether that's with New Day or whatever, but we still got a little ways to go here. Again, not all that long, because again, surprising to hear, but 22 days to WrestleMania. We're right on the cusp there. But again, having a 5.3 level SmackDown from Kevin Taylor here, not the best way to build the excitement for that. So hopefully we can hope for more next week. Again, don't know what to look forward to, because they didn't really announce anything other than Brock Lesnar and Roman Reigns colliding. But schedule, no, we should be good for next week. I don't think there's anything that would include us. So we should be good to go for next week. Obviously, we do our best. Schedule pending to be here every Friday for the Friday Night SmackDown post show. John Carpenter here on Raw on Monday for the Raw post show. On Tuesday for NXT post show. The two Dynamite dudes on Rampage, Marcus and Dominic, for all things AEW. Make sure to check them out as well. And otherwise, we've got a great stream of interviews constantly coming at you guys. I recently interviewed the NWA World Heavyweight Champion Matt Cardona. That is now up on all of our channels. He will be defending the title. I think his match is on Sunday at Crockett Cup. Make sure to check that out. At least the interview, if you're a fan of Matt Cardona. I interviewed Big Damo, formerly known as Killian Dane, this week. That'll be going up probably next week as well. So lots of great stuff and more always coming out. Bill Pritchard just interviewed Dutch Mantel, formerly of the Real Americans way back when. So fun interview with a real legend there. Lots of great stuff. Constantly coming at you guys. Make sure to check it out. All the platforms, SoundCloud, Spotify, all that good stuff. You know where to find us. As always, we appreciate you guys so much for coming out and for supporting us here, talking about the wild world of wrestling these days. And again, as I always say, for a different reason now. The world is a very scary place, but we appreciate you all for coming here, coming together, and talking about SmackDown, whether it's good, bad, or in between with us. And with that said, Robert, I know you're a very busy man. You want to plug all the stuff you're doing before you get out of here?
Listen, just follow me at DeFelice everywhere. Follow me on Twitch. Follow me on Twitter, Instagram, all that good stuff. Follow Fightful.com and Fightful Select. Sean Rossap does work his ass off. And yeah, that's all I can really say. That's all I can really promote. Keep supporting WrestleZone. Keep supporting everyone in wrestling media, and enjoy wrestling.
With that said, thanks for listening, everybody. And until next time, stay safe and enjoy wrestling.